So imagine you're scanning through your email, skipping the usual junk when you come across a message from your site's contact page offering you a once-in-a-lifetime job opportunity. You're ecstatic. It's a dream job, and more importantly, it feels like the real deal. But as you move forward with the process, something starts to feel off. Let me tell you how I almost got scammed. An email landed in my inbox last week like a ray of hope. My freelance career up until then had been pretty steady, but also it was a real grind. The hiring manager found me through my website, a spot I'd carefully set up for exactly these kinds of opportunities that skipped crowded freelance platforms. And this wasn't just anyone. It was from a huge, super well-known brand, a name everyone recognized. What made it even better was that the sender had a LinkedIn profile that looked totally legit. It was robust, showing tons of connections in the industry. There were cool endorsements for skills related to hiring, and there was a clear, solid link to the very company offering the job. Everything about it, from her profile photo to her listed time there and past roles, just screamed real and professional. It really seemed like my website was doing its job, opening doors to genuinely awesome top-tier opportunities that could boost my career. I didn't waste a second and reached out to her through the dedicated Teams chat that she provided in the email. I just wanted to follow up about the editor position. I also sent an email, and I'm super interested in the role. I'm ready to schedule an interview whenever you are. Let me know what times work for you. I responded immediately, hoping for a response soon. This felt like a big break, and I didn't want to miss out on it. Just like the first email, she said, "Hello, Matt. Welcome to our awesome company. As part of our assessment process, we will be conducting an instant text-based chat. This will provide a written record of responses for later review and comparison, enabling us to effectively identify qualified candidates and move them to the next stage." That was definitely weird for a first interview, way different from the usual phone call or video chat I was used to. Most real companies prefer talking face-to-face, even if it's virtual, to get a feel for your communication style and personality. But I try to make sense of it. Maybe it was a modern, efficient way for a big company to do things, especially for remote jobs, and to make sure everything was clearly documented for different hiring managers to see. While the idea of a written record for later review was a little bit odd, it didn't seem to immediately set off any major alarms for me. Thank you for the welcome and for letting me know about the text-based chat assessment. I understand, and I'm ready for the next step. Looking forward to it. I replied, eager to move forward and not wanting to seem difficult. The requirements you listed were super generic: a US citizen, good time management, attention to detail, great communication skills, and organized. Check, check, check. I've reviewed them and don't have any concerns. My initial good vibes about the job were still pretty strong at this point. And honestly, having dealt with HR reps before, I know they often stick to a super strict script and don't always know the ins and outs of the specific role they're screening for. So this rigid text chat didn't seem too off and out of the ordinary for an initial screening. As she went on about the company's history, their influential work, and commitment to being sustainable and ethical, a new section suddenly popped up that totally was out of place. We are looking for a responsible, creative, and knowledgeable web designer to join our team and build easily accessible and well-designed website interfaces. The description even listed duties like conceptualizing and designing responsive landing pages and optimizing a website for high speed and maximum scalability. My heart sank in this moment. I was applying for an editor role. Had I totally messed up reading that first email? I quickly typed, "Can I ask a question? You originally reached out to me about an editor position. That is what I thought I was applying for. Is that position still available?" She replied yes, but she didn't really say oops or sorry about that. There was no explanation for the huge difference in job descriptions, no acknowledgement that she just confused me. Her super short reply was really noticeable, and I forced out a polite, "Fantastic, thank you for letting me know," but I wasn't really feeling hopeful at this point. This wasn't how a real professional recruiter would talk, especially after showing me a completely different job. It felt like I caught them in a lie. Finally, the actual editor job description showed up, detailing responsibilities that perfectly matched my skills: editing, mixing, enhancing recordings for various media formats, including podcasts, videos, commercials, and other multimedia projects. Okay, I got this. This was my zone. Then came the benefits package, which seemed almost way too good to be true. Comprehensive medical, dental, and vision insurance plans, healthcare and dependent care, flexible spending accounts, IVF treatment benefits, 401k retirement plan with employer contributions, life insurance and identity theft protection, generous paid time off policies, discounts on gym memberships, access to deals on theme parks, attractions, events, and hotels. And then the detail that really made me feel skeptical about all this was that they said this is a fully remote online position with flexible hours. The pay rate is $120 per hour with a maximum of 40 hours per week. That was a crazy amount of money, way too high for the industry and for a job that hadn't even had a tough multi-step interview process. It totally screamed way too good to be true, and it was a classic sign of a scam. My mind raced doing the math inside my head. It was almost $250,000 a year for a remote editing gig. But what if it's not a scam? What if this is the one legitimate, high-paying, remote dream job that actually exists? Who wants to pass up on an opportunity like that just because of a gut feeling? Plus, I had an in-person interview scheduled with a totally unrelated company later that week. So I figured, what the heck, at least this text chat will be good practice for that in-person interview. The interview section started a bunch of pretty standard, almost generic questions that felt like they came straight out of an HR handbook. I answered each one thoroughly and professionally, talking about my experience, my careful work process, my favorite editing tools, how I get past creative blocks, and how I handle multiple tasks. I even shared some of the work I was most proud of. I thought I was really crushing it, showing off my skills and professionalism. And she even confirmed it at the end by saying, "I must acknowledge that I'm impressed with your performance. Your responses were specific and well addressed." No normal human being would talk like that, right? The constant lack of any real human interaction, no video, no phone call, just boring text, honestly became annoying to me throughout our interaction, and towards the end of it, I was just ready to simply close the chat window. But I persevered through it, determined to end our interaction as professionally as possible. Then she dropped the "I'll get back to you tomorrow" line, and on the one hand, I'm thinking that's totally standard. The hiring team is going to take some time to review my answers and then get back to me with next steps in the interview process. On the other hand, for a scammer, that's actually kind of weird. Why would you give me a whole night to stew in my doubts? And more importantly, why would you allow me to Google stuff? That's exactly what I did. A quick search for the company's name and remote job scam quickly pulled up a forum post. Someone else had gotten a similar offer from the same company with crazy pay, and they thought it was way too good to be true. The biggest red flag for them was that the interviewer kept dodging every single request to hop on a video call. My suspicions were finally confirmed. The next morning, she was back online. Her message arrived 1 minute after the time she told me she would follow up. "Good morning, Matt. Thank you for your patience. I have some updates regarding the review now. To start off, we are very impressed with your profile. Based on your experience and how well you meet the role's requirements, it's clear that you're a great fit for this position. Your performance during the interview further confirms this. To cut it short, you have been confirmed, qualified for this position, and offered the role to join the team as an editor. Congratulations and welcome to our awesome company." An instant offer. No second interview, no technical test, no video call, just a text message saying I got a job paying an unbelievable amount, offered without them even seeing me. So I challenged her to hop on a call. "That sounds wonderful. Will there be an in-person interview?" I was not hoping for much, but maybe there would be a sign of life on the other end that would make my growing fears disappear. "Yes, we will connect with you through a video call after your employment offer is confirmed and your working ID is available." She continued to lay out an onboarding process that on the surface sounded okay: collecting documents, setting up equipment, creating accounts, a virtual welcome, training, and ongoing support. But the order of things was just completely off. This was it, the final undeniable red flag. A video call after accepting the offer and getting some vague working ID. That's simply not how real hiring works, especially for a job with such a high salary and big responsibilities. Legitimate companies do thorough interviews, often several rounds, including video calls, before they make an official offer. I tried one last direct shot to confirm my suspicions. I would prefer a video call before accepting the offer. Is that possible? She replied, "At this stage, we're unable to connect via video call. All communication is being handled through this secure text platform for documentation and consistency purposes." She then repeated that ridiculous condition. "Also, as stated earlier, once your working ID is available and you are officially confirmed, we will connect with you through a video call and ensure everything is in place for you before you eventually commence your training." The documentation and consistency excuse was just a thin cover for a clear refusal to deal with me properly. The combination of the crazy high pay, the instant job offer without a real interview, the confusing job description switch, the LinkedIn profile that was probably faked or copied, and now the outright refusal of a simple video call before I even said yes, it all clicked into place with crystal clarity. This wasn't a dream job. It was a scam, carefully set up to reel me in with an offer that I couldn't refuse. And then no doubt they'd ask for personal info during the onboarding process that would leave me broke and maybe even exposed to identity theft. All that initial excitement had completely vanished, replaced by a firm decision and a real sense of disappointment. I see. Thank you for clarifying that. After careful consideration, I've decided to decline your generous offer at this time. I wish you and your awesome company all the best in finding the right candidate for this role. Thank you again for your time and the offer. It was a scam, plain and simple, a carefully built illusion, and I was glad that I trusted my gut before falling for a potentially costly and emotionally draining trick. I closed the chat and haven't heard from her again. And you know what? It still stings a little even now, after all my years of experience. Like, how could I even entertain an opportunity like this? But I'm not going to let it knock me down and continuing to pursue those dream jobs. And if you have fallen for something similar, don't let these scammers do the same thing to you. Pick yourself back up, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. So how about you? Have you had any close calls with scammers offering you a potential job opportunity? Feel free to share your stories in the comments section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more career advice and gear reviews from yours truly. Thanks for watching.